Hello viewers, I welcome you all from HLTF Tech channel, and today we are going to see the installation of SharePoint Server Subscription Edition on in our on-premise environment. For installing SharePoint Server Subscription Edition, you must have to follow some steps, in which the first important step is that you have to prepare the Active Directory. That is not a very big step or a complex step. Simple is that you have to go into your Active Directory server, that is your domain controller, and in your domain controller you have to go in Active Directory users and computers, and here in users you have to create three users, that is sp19 admin, sp19 farm, sp19 sql. Regardless of the naming convention, you can use any of the naming convention. I am using just a simple one, that is sp19 admin, sp19 farm, and sp19 sql. These three users were also used when I configured the SharePoint 2019 on-premise environment. So I'm not creating new users for creating server subscription edition environment. I'm using them as well in same environment, but you can name as per your naming convention of the organization standards. So these are simple users. If we go and see that what are their membership, they have only domain users membership, nothing else. So you have to simply create three users in step 1. Okay, now I hope so that step 1 is clear. The second thing is that we will go and install the operating system, a new virtual machine. If you are working in a virtual environment, you have to create a new virtual machine that is of Windows Server 2022 operating system. I've already uploaded a video on this topic in my previous videos. I will share the link as well in the description box, but I think so that it is very simple step. You have to just create a simple virtual machine in which you have to install the operating system of Windows Server 2022 Core Edition, that is Core Data Center Edition, and you have to make it a member server, that is you have to assign a static IP and you have to make it a member of your domain. Okay, so if I go quickly and see the computers, here you will see that sp2022 app server, I have already created this, and this will be used for the installation of our SharePoint Server Subscription Edition. Okay, fine. Next step is we will create another virtual machine. It's depend upon your environment. If you are working in a development environment, you can use a single machine for all of the installation of databases as well as your application of SharePoint. But in a production environment, it is always recommended that you create a separate database server on which a dedicated role of Microsoft SQL Server is installed. So I have also given a link of this video tutorial. These steps are simply same as that we followed in the installation of SharePoint 2019 environment, so I'm not going to create another video. I have just given the link in the description. You can quickly go through that video if you haven't gone through, if you are new subscriber. But if you are my already a subscriber of my channel and watching continuously these videos, then you must be quite familiar with this video. Okay, that's fine. Up till this point, I think that all of these steps need not to be explained more in detail, and they have already been covered in my previous videos. Description links are there in the description. So we will quickly go through the next step, that is step 4 of installation of prerequisites for SharePoint Server Subscription Edition. In SharePoint Server Subscription Edition, the prerequisites have been reduced to only one prerequisite. That is an amazing thing, because you also if you have worked on previous environments of SharePoint, you know that if you want to install SharePoint in an on-premise environment where there is no internet connectivity and you have an isolated domain environment, you have your isolated domain, then you have to install the prerequisites by using some complex scripts. Okay, but thanks to SharePoint and thanks to Microsoft that it has given you option in which all of the prerequisites have already been installed, which I will install the SharePoint. And this is my new server. The first important step is that, as we all know, that we are going to use the user sp19 admin and sp19 farm. So I will assign them the membership of local administrator of this machine. So it's simple. I'm going to search for sp19 admin in my domain, and I'm going to assign it the membership of local administrators. Similarly, same for sp19 farm and sp19 skill. So these three users were the users which we created in our step 1, and it is very essential that before doing any installation steps on your any of the SharePoint server farm machine, you have to assign it the local administrator membership. Okay, so I'm going to click apply. After that, I'm going to uh, sign out this machine, and I will log into which sign out, and now I will log in this machine using my sp19 admin account. So I will take the remote of this machine for better user friendly interface. This is the IP, and I'm going to log in through sp19 admin. Okay, fine. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going into the Windows PowerShell and run it as an administrator. After logging it the PowerShell as an administrator, I'm going to copy these install features and I'm going to paste it here, and I'm going to click enter. After that, the installation of the Windows features will be completed. Okay viewers, the installation of Windows features has been completed successfully. It's a simple command that is available commonly in internet. Just you can write the steps that install Windows features for Windows for SharePoint of on-premise installation, and you will find this notepad copy, and you can just copy and paste it in the Windows PowerShell command. Okay, now I have to restart the server, as but you can see that restart required is no, but it is always recommended that you restart the server after you have uh, done the installation. Okay viewers, my server has been restarted successfully, and now I'm going to install only one prerequisite, that is Microsoft Visual C++ 2015 to 2019 redistributable package. So it's also available commonly on the internet, as it is an open source. You can just type here this thing and with a download, and you can easily download it from internet. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on run as administrator, and I'm going to install it. Okay viewers, the redistributable package has been installed successfully, and now we are going into uh, the this PC window. Here I have already uploaded the ISO image of SharePoint Server Subscription Edition, and I will quickly double click it. After that, the installation will start. If we as you all know that we have already installed the prerequisites, so if I click on install prerequisites, it will validate them, and it will just tell me that they have been installed successfully. Okay, it's telling me that all prerequisites have been installed or enabled. For that we need web server IS role, we need Microsoft .NET Framework 4.8, as we are using the operating system of Windows Server 2022. So in 2022 operating system, the Microsoft .NET Framework 4.8 is already installed, and we have just installed the 2015 to 2019 redistributable package in our few minutes ago. That was this one. So our prerequisites have been installed, and we are ready to go for the installation of SharePoint server. So by clicking on this, the installation will start. Okay, viewers, it will ask you for the license key. You may have the evaluation license key, or if you are a member of Microsoft, you have a volume licensing center membership of Microsoft, then you may have the valid license key. So we will quickly go through this step. After entering the license key, we will accept the terms of this agreement. Okay, I'm going to install this in a separate drive. I have attached a separate drive for the installation media, installation files of this SharePoint Server Subscription Edition. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to change this path. I'm going to say it's Microsoft Office Server, and for this I'm going to say it's Microsoft Office Server 16 point data. Okay, so it's always recommended that you install the SharePoint installation files in a separate drive, so that if your operating system have some uh, corrupt corruption in files, or if any of your files of installation media or of your operating system corrupts, you may have a safe drive for this installation path. Okay, now I will go on installation of install now, and now the installation of SharePoint has started, and it will take some few minutes regarding upon your system configuration. After that, the installation will be completed, and then we will proceed towards the SharePoint configuration visit. Okay viewers, the installation of SharePoint is completed successfully, and now we are going for the configuration visit. For configuration visit, it is important that your server must be reachable with your database server, because all the configuration that SharePoint Server Subscription Edition will perform, it will perform on the database server. For example, it will create its own database with the name of SharePoint underscore config, and it will also apply the settings for opening its central administration. So let's start with the configuration wizard. For that, a reboot is required. Okay, during reboot we will also check that this is my database server, and if I go and check its name by performing ipconfig command, it will tell me that this is its IP, and by having an ns lookup in my domain, this is db server. Okay, so this database server must be reachable for performing the configuration wizard step. After reboot, I will restart the application server, and the configuration wizard will start. Okay, now it's asking me during the configuration visit that I have to specify the database server. So for performing the configuration visit, make sure that your database server is available and it's also reachable by this server. That is very important. My DB server is reachable. That's fine. I will click next. Okay, now I want to create a new server farm. Okay, this is the new server farm. I am not going to create any additional server in my existing server farm. So I will type DB and I will rename it as SharePoint underscore config underscore 22. This will be the database in which all the settings will be written, and SharePoint always consider this database as the reference and the main point of its operations. Okay, viewers, one more thing that is important here. Uh, when installing SharePoint Server Subscription Edition, Microsoft demands that you must have the latest cumulative update installed on your database server regarding SQL Server 2019. So please make sure that you have the latest update installed in your database server. In my case, I have already installed this update, so it's important, otherwise it will give you an error while installation of configuration wizard. So I will click next. Here I'm going to give the passphrase. This passphrase is important whenever you will add a new server of SharePoint role in the farm, or whether you need to install any server or you want to remove any server from the farm. You need that passphrase at that time. I will click next. Okay, this one is important. uh, till 2013 or I think 2016, Microsoft SharePoint gives you specific shared roles, but now it gives you a facility of having dedicated roles. I have already covered a brief video about this roles, that what is application with search, what is front end with distributed cache, and what are separate servers. So in this case, I'm going to install application with search, and then I will install a front end with distributed cache as a separate server that will be responsible for only entertaining the my users or client request. Okay, this server will be dedicated with its primary jobs of SharePoint along with the search component. But if you are working on a very large environment, I recommend you to uh, install dedicated roles. Okay, so I will click next. It is validating some settings. After that, it is telling me that what type of SharePoint you are going to specify the port. You This is a default port. You can also change this port. I'm leaving it default. Similarly, you can also configure the security settings. I'm leaving it to NTLM. So this is the summary. My new SharePoint server will be this one, and it will install with the URL this. If you agree all of these components of summary report, you can click next and the installation will start. So all of these settings, I have already told that SharePoint will perform all of these settings on the database server. It will create a new databases, and it will write all of its settings that are essential for building a new farm in its database. So stay with me for another couple of minutes. Okay viewers, here you can see that the configuration is successful, and we can access the central administration now by this URL. So I will copy it and I will finish it. So after finishing, you can see that the central administration URL is being loaded first time. We will log in through SP19 admin. So viewers, this is the first interface look of central administration of SharePoint 2022. And if we go into this farm, you will see that there will be only two servers. The first one will be a database server, and the second one will be a SharePoint 22 app server This is the server which we have created just now with a role of application with search. We can also verify it by going into the database server, and in database server, if we go into the management studio and we extend this, here you can see that there will be a database that will be a SharePoint underscore config underscore 2022, that is 22. This is the configuration database of our SharePoint server farm that we have just created. And please ignore these all of other databases because they have already been created for 2019 environment in of my previous videos. So this was about the central administration and installation of SharePoint 2022 server subscription edition. So viewers, I thank you all for watching this video. In our upcoming videos we will see about installing of creating the web application and site collections of SharePoint 2022, and we will also explore the new features of SharePoint server subscription edition. And please subscribe my channel and enjoy watching more videos.